Okay? So, 1, the renal pyramids. They're deep into the medulla, but do not enter medulla. Renal pyramids. 2, renal calyx or calyces. Calyces is plural to calyx. You can put one or the other, does not matter. The renal artery, the renal vein, the renal pelvis, and the ureter. That's 6. Okay? Ureter, renal pelvis, renal vein, renal artery, renal calyx, renal pyramid.
So we don't need to know.
Okay? On the nephron. This is a nephron. All right, you actually see 2 here. But your illustration will have the paratubular capillaries. So you'll have to label the paratubular capillaries. You have to label the collecting ducts. Okay? You have to label the DCT or distal tubule. DCT is fine. Okay? You have to label the descending limb and ascending limb of the loop of Henle. The PCT, that's 7. Well, I don't know how many there's. I think it's 6. You have to label the glomerulus, the Bowman's capsule, and there'll be like a kind of like a dashed box around this whole thing, and that whole thing is the renal corpuscle. Okay, so renal corpuscle, glomerulus, Bowman's capsule, PCT, descending limb of the loop of Henle. Don't just say descending limb. Descending limb of the loop of Henle, ascending limb of the loop of Henle, DCT, collecting duct, paratubular capillaries. Okay?
Where's the paratubular?
These blood vessels going around. I mean, think about it. Peri means around, tubular, that's the nephron tubule, capillaries. Alright? Okay. Question? No. This is FRQ. Okay? Now, some very, very basic things to understand. Okay? 100% of filtration takes place where?
The renal corpuscle.
Renal corpuscle. From what to what?
From the Bowman's to
Glomerulus
Glomerulus to the Bowman's capsule. Remember, what's the whole function of the kidneys? To filter waste from the blood, right? Okay? The blood it's being filtered from is from the glomerulus. Those are just blood vessels. Tiny little blood vessels. It's captured by the Bowman's capsule. Secretion. Which way the substance is moving? Into the nephron, to the filtrate of the nephron, or from the filtrate of the nephron? Into the filtrate of the nephron. Secretion means you're going to get rid of it. Reabsorption is the opposite. It's occurring from the filtrate of the nephron tubule into the paratubular capillaries. Okay? Reabsorption means you're trying to get it back in your bloodstream. Well, where's the bloodstream? Paratubular capillaries. Does that make sense? Okay? If you want to talk about the order in which urine is produced, it all starts in the renal corpuscle, from the glomerulus to the Bowman's capsule. From the PCT, descending limb loop Henle, then ascending limb loop Henle. Then the DCT, and the collecting duct.
Why is it collecting duct?
It's collecting filtrates from several different distal tubules of several different nephrons. And then several collecting ducts kind of merges to the renal calyx, and then about half a dozen renal calyces or so directs it to the renal pelvis, which narrows to the ureter, then to ureter takes urine to the urinary bladder, then the urethra. Okay, urethra takes it all the way out, whether you're peeing in a toilet or in a bush. Or in your pants. Oh, that's awful. Alright. Now, let's go back. Let's talk about some components. Guys, the components are super easy. Okay? Kidneys do everything. The ureters are just transport tubes. Urinary bladder is just it's just a holding pod. And the urethra is a transport tube. They don't really do anything. Does that make sense? Alright? Kidneys do it all. Alright? So what are the functions? The primary function of the kidneys is what?
Eliminate waste.
Yeah, filtering waste from the blood. Eliminating its form of urine. You have 3 secondary functions that's a direct result of that primary function. Okay? 1, regulating pH by whether it has a net reabsorption or secretion of hydrogen ions. Y'all with me on that? Okay? Regulating ion concentration or electrolyte concentration. And that has to do with net reabsorption of things like calcium and sodium and chloride and anything else, potassium. You also have regulation of blood volume, right? Okay, so blood volume is kind of low. You're going to reabsorb more water. If it's kind of high, it's going to end up limiting sodium reabsorption, and therefore it limits water reabsorption. Okay.
So you don't ever secrete water, you don't reabsorb it.
Yeah, you'll limit its reabsorption,
Okay.
but you don't really secrete water. That's a good point. Yeah. And then there's 2 non-urinary. Has nothing to do with urine production, and that's increased red blood cell production by producing and secreting your erythropoietin. Y'all remember that? The cardiovascular system. Okay. Also increases vitamin D production. All right. Now, talk about reabsorption. You know which way it's going. You have 65% reabsorbed from the filtrate of a PCT, 15% from the descending limb, 0% from the ascending limb. The ascending limb is completely impermeable to water. There's nothing reabsorbed as far as water goes. There might be a few solutes, but it's negligible. All right, it's way closer to 0% than it is 1%. And then another 19% reabsorbed from the distal tubule and collecting duct. That one's mainly controlled by hormones like, ADH, ANH, aldosterone. We talked about that, right? All right. You know those percentages. Of course, hydrogen is going to be reabsorbed and secreted based on blood what? pH. All right. So if pH is high, you're going to have a net reabsorption of hydrogen ions. If it's low, you're going to have a net secretion. All right. Potassium, of course, you're going to have a net reabsorption secretion based on its level, but if it's reabsorbed from the PCT and it's secreted in the DCT. Okay? I spent a lot of time talking about ANH, ADH, the RAAS, all right? Now, there will be some questions on those as well, so don't just completely put those off for FRQs. All right, there'll be some questions on that as well. But pay attention to the questions because it will help you, I think, get ready for the FRQs when they come Thursday. Yes?
So you know that tricky question you pointed out on the quiz with the ADH?
Oh yeah. That was a thinking question. I love that question.
Wait,
Okay.
Because that made me
say
think.
less.
which one?
So I don't think I'll put one like that. It was what quiz did you take? I can't really talk about it because they haven't taken their course.
I think it was A, but it's the ADH question. And you
Yeah.
have to vote.
Yeah, you have to kind of really think it through about it. Yeah. So my Tuesday night, we got a game at Mill Creek, right? I'll probably get back to school. I'll probably get home 10:30, 11 after washing some uniforms, and I'll be at school at 5 o'clock that morning.
Yay.
I got to put the bone test together for my college prep class, and I'm thinking through the bone test for y'all because it's